satirical webcomic or shock therapy comic, we take a look at Cyanide and Happiness.
Who really owns the rights to a character? We discuss.
And we discuss the Lone Ranger's nephew here on Between the Panels.
It's Political Incorrectness Day here at the Comic Stand. Hi everyone, and we're here on Between the Panels, and our first topic of the day, we're gonna get right into it. Cyanide and Happiness.
Oh yeah, possibly the greatest web comic in the history of ever.
Ever?
Ever, forever, ever.
I'll agree to that. What's your take on it?
Cyanide and Happiness or this?
The whole Cyanide and Happiness
We'll
experience.
start off with Cyanide and Happiness itself.
I get a few chuckles out of Cyanide and Happiness, I'll admit. I enjoy it. This, it was something.
It was something.
It was
Well,
something.
we'll get to that bad boy in a minute.
But yeah, we'll head into the web series first. Just a little history on it. Cyanide and Happiness started out in 2004, but you could argue that it started maybe when the guys were in high school. Dave McElfretrick and Chris Wilson, they all paired up together. There's two other guys, and they started writing in high school. And they just kind of, said, let's just do whatever and make a comic book for funsies. And 2004, they started airing it on YouTube, and 2005, it became a regular thing.
I like the stick figure art. It shows that you don't need to be a crazy good artist to write comics.
Well, I mean, we'll go right into the art because you brought it up, and I mean, it's simple art, but still, like, it's got a flair to it, even if it's stick figures.
One thing that you'll notice is when you go on the website and you see the different comics, it'll say who wrote that comic and illustrated it. Each one has a different style.
You can
Like,
see in the
some
back.
are more round, some are more blocky, some are like have no mouths. It's neat. It's so simple. There's not even like, there's barely any backgrounds. It's usually just like a white background, and they're usually wearing blue, green, or like some other like bright color. And in terms of the stories, they have like, the whole entire thing is it's very, very wrong. Like each thing is
It's complete satire of everything, not necessarily a spoof. Difference. Thank you, English teacher, high school English teacher, for teaching me this. Difference between a spoof and a satire. Spoof, is just like scary movie, while a satire might be Scream, where Scream is a satire of horror movies. So it's a serious note, but this is more a comedic satire, not necessarily a spoof, because it has a serious like political tone. It talks about serious issues, but in a very dark way. Particularly this comic, but if you go online and watch the actual episodes, they're a little bit longer, like 4 or 3 minutes, and they're not as dark, but still funny in that dark way.
Expect to cringe after reading one.
Yeah.
Or several.
It's the punchline is always something dark. Some are more darker than others. Some are like, okay, that's not really dark. Like there was one where it was a guy who gets a potty trainer for his son, and he's like this big buff trainer, and he's shouting in the kid's face while he's trying to do his business, and then he's like, hurry up, just go. You gotta know that poop is weakness leaving the body. So like, some are like just stupid.
Yeah.
But like, if you notice, sometimes they have more recurring jokes. Like there's always like, there's this one about this guy and he treats his girlfriend like crap. There's like the purple eye stabber. Like this recurring guy who wears a purple shirt and he stabs people in the eye. He kind of somewhat has his own like arc. And then there's this, and Nick, if you want to explain what this is.
I was going to get into this. This is basically just a series of depressing comics. None of them have a positive punchline. None of them are intended to be like...
so bad, so shocking, it's funny.
Yeah, there's very specific ones, like a kid has to put down his dog, and his dad says, oh, that's okay, he'll be in heaven waiting. And then the kid writes a note to his dad saying, oh, I went to the place in heaven to find our dog, and he shot himself in the head. And this is like a 6-year-old boy with a shotgun. And then the last panel is just the man crying over the dead body of his son. And that's it. And then they go on to the next one,
Just
which is...
to give you some context on why they do this, on the website, they upload a comic every day. But once a year, they do Depressing Comic Week, where, like you said, it's so horrible, it's horrible. And there's one in there that sums up just the entire cyanide happiness experience. It's just a guy looking at you, the reader, and he's all like, you know, the universe is this unexplored, mysterious place. Who knows what exists after death? Blah, 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 blah. And you're just sitting here reading comics, which is
Well, I think it's very
most
similar.
depressing.
Like if you watch a lot of things on Comedy Central nowadays, like anything on like Jesselneck Offensive or Tosh.0, being rude and being immature and laughing at these dark jokes is like the in thing now.
Yeah.
So people can get away with this and people will buy it.
Those have a comedic spin. This is just like we'll see the downfall of a person and see them like die.
Yeah,
and then
one
the shots
one
them
comic
dead,
I
and
just
then-
wanted to say in this, it's basically a picture of two whales just being fun, having fun. One of the whales gets speared in the head, and then gets dragged off in the next panel. The last thing is, this really happens.
And that's it.
That's
yeah.
it.
I want to go into. I mean, I watched a couple more. Like Ted Bear's Speed Races was the first one I ever saw online, and that's
Yeah, they do webisodes too.
yeah. And Sad Larry, if you ever get a chance to catch them out. But for the ratings for me, I'd have to give it 4 Bear Grylls out of 5 because of the Ted Bear episode. If you ever get a chance to watch it, just because it's really funny, but like in a dark way, and it's almost too dark. You feel guilty about watching it. Maybe you want to go, I don't know, pray someplace, go to a church. It's Easter on Sunday. Go confess your sins for watching Cyanide and Happiness or reading it. But 4 out of 5 for me.
Well, if I had to give it a rating, it would be 3 speared whales out of 5 because it gets stale. You read the first one, you read them all. Depressing, kind of dark humor, but they never really break the mold. They just kind of push the envelope like South Park does, where they just kind of try to get more weird after a while. So 3 speared whales out of 5.
Me personally, I would have to give it 5 dead puppies. 5 dead puppies out of 5. It's one of the first things I look at every morning to see what the new offensive thing is, and I'm going to sum up my favorite one as so. Wolverine hitting on a girl at a bar, and he says, "Hey, are you a mutant? Because you sure are Magneto." And I tried that once, and it didn't work.
When we come back, we discuss copyright and comics here on Between the Panels and discuss your commercials as best we possibly can.